Hi, everybody. We are going to talk about the third chapter, security key concepts and security model. This is a continuation to the previous two chapters that we discussed in relation to the introduction to network security course. We covered before introduction to security, and we covered information security. We talked about why do we need computer and network security, and what are the way or the avenue, the hackers that they utilize in terms of accessing or penetrating or hacking the network infrastructure or the computer system from the external side as well as from the internal side. And then also we talked about different security policies that should exist, and the role of the certify the security officer, okay, and the security officer that has to implement in terms of policies and procedures to make sure that the information system and the infrastructure is being secure. Now, as a continuation to the previous two chapters, security key concepts and security model will have 6 different topics. And the first topic will be the CIA of security. The second topic is we are going to talk about the operation model of computer and network security. That is what we refer to as a security trinity. The third topic is security by obscurity model, which is one of the model that also exists in terms of deployment of security. The fourth topic that we'll talk about perimeter defense model, and how this work, or how does it work in terms of ensuring that the infrastructure is being secured. We'll talk about also deficiencies on those two models. Now we will introduce a very important model, which is the fifth one here, the defense in depth model, which is greatly utilized and adopted in information as an information security standard. And we will be revisiting this again in chapter 6 and 7. Now, security terminologies is also another key thing that we'll talk about. Talk about different terminologies that exist. As an introduction to the topic, we know that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability are considered to be the 3 main objectives of security. Now, these what we refer to as the CIA. So this can only be achieved by adopting different operational model or different standard or different techniques in order to ensure that the security is being preserved. Furthermore, we will address the 3 basic approaches used to develop a network security model. Usually, organizations employ some combination of the 3 approaches to achieve the security. So the 3 security model that we will talk about, as I mentioned earlier now, is the security by obscurity, and the perimeter defense model, and the defense in depth model. And you'll see how these models will be adopted, or a combination of these models will be adopted. Now, the first topic that we'll talk about, of course, is going to be the CIA. The CIA, which stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Though this is like, think about it as a triad or a triangle, and all these are connected. It means that any secured environment will definitely depend on those 3 important items. So by preserving the confidentiality, the integrity, and availability, so we are making sure that the information are being confidential. We are making sure that the information there is integrity in the information, and it's not being altered, and it is as it existed before, without any alteration. And also we need to make sure that this information is available to everybody. So those are the goal of the computer security in terms of protecting an automated information system. So here again, if we want to define the first item of the CIA, which is the confidentiality. Confidentiality assures that private or confidential information is not made available or disclosed to unauthorized people or unauthorized users, except those people who are intended or who have the right or who has the access right in order to reach these confidential information. Now, integrity again. This is there are two types of related concept to integrity: data integrity and system integrity. Now, the data integrity assures that the information or program that they are not changed; they are according to the original specification. System integrity ensures that the system performs its intended functions without any changes or deliberate unauthorized manipulation of the system. The third concept of CIA, which is the availability, ensures that the system is available and all people who have access to it are allowed to utilize the system. Now, those three concepts again, we refer to them as the CIA triad. Now, those three concepts were there has been an addition to those three concepts: the CIA, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. There has been a demand due to the network and the e-commerce to have two more additional concepts here. One of them is called authentication. The authentication is to ensure that an individual is who they claim to be. Is that to make sure that the identity is preserved. Then auditability in order to make sure that all information, account information, the logging has been audited and controlled and logged properly. We move on to the second topic related to chapter 3, which is the operational model, the operation model of the computer network security, which is what is referred to as the security trinity. Now, it begins with prevention. Prevention has been around for many years. You know, we have the way that we think about it before is that in order for us to gain protection is by prevention. This concept, was around for many years until the internet paradigm has shifted us in different direction because of the introduction of new networks, multiple networks. Millions of computers now are linked, are interconnected. So prevention is not anymore possible because we cannot prevent outsiders from accessing our system because the value of the system is when they are networked together. So that's why they introduced two new concepts has been introduced beside the prevention. So it's prevention plus we need to be able to detect if there is any problem and to have a quick response to resolve the problem. So prevention is good. In addition to detection if there is any some kind of suspicious activity, and a response in order to counterattack the detection that is happening. Now, this is the equation that we have. This is the equation. Protection now is equivalent to prevention plus detection plus response. Okay. So if we have proper prevention mechanism, and if we have good detection system, and ready people to respond quickly, then we will have a total protection of the environment. Now, the example of prevention, you can say that we have the access control. By providing proper access control, firewalls, and encryption, this will provide some kind of prevention. Now, as an example for the detection mechanism is by implementing some system that will detect intruders by having audit logs, audit log files, and intrusion detection system that collect data and capture data from the network and does the complete analysis of who is accessing the different type of information. These are examples of the detection. Now, as a response, I could say that a good example for response is to have, the most important thing is definitely to have as proper security policies. And of course, we need, as a good response, to have a good backup just in case if something happens. So backup is very important to have. In addition to that, we need to have a good team that is ready to make sure that if there's any incident, to respond to it quickly and properly. Now, furthermore, after we talk about these two important topics, then we go to the third topic, which is actually the different security models that exist. Now, how do organizations utilize which model they should implement in terms of having a good security system? So, the first model is that they say, you will find out some organizations, they say we will hide ourselves, we will not declare any information about network, about our infrastructure, or about services. Now, this concept is called security by obscurity. This model number one. So security by obscurity relies on secrecy for protection. The concept behind this model is that if no one knows that the network or system exists, it means that it will never be attacked. But the basic hope is that hiding is not going to be forever. I mean, people, they hope that this is going to last forever. But once it is detected, then everything is vulnerable. That you will have a complete network vulnerability, and this is definitely the disadvantage of this one. Now, the next security model that existed and does exist nowadays is called the perimeter defense model. The perimeter defense model, from the word perimeter, means the boundary. Is that defending the boundary? It's like a castle surrounded by a moat or very high wall. When using this model in network security, organization harden the boundary, they harden or shrink the perimeter around them, but they don't really harden or do anything to the internal. So they will implement firewalls, they will implement secured routers, physical security. But the focus is to harden the perimeter, and they are giving little emphasis to the internal or the network or other component of the system. Now, the deficiencies of the perimeter defense model, there are many deficiencies, but the main two flaws of this model is, the first one is that this model does nothing to protect the internal system. So if there is an intruder from inside the network, this cannot be detected, because then that person or that attackers could attack the network from the inside. Now, the second is that the perimeter defense model almost always fails eventually. Once it does, the internal system are left wide open for attacks, because that's the idea. Yes, you are controlling the perimeter, but if somebody penetrated from a single hole, from a certain hole in the system, from the certain hole in the perimeter, then the system is completely vulnerable. The next model that is, of course, the most important model here, that is the most robust approach, is to use defense in depth model. Defense in depth model, it's defending the system in multiple layers, not just from one side. It's from outside, from inside, from system point of view, from database point of view, from application point of view, from users point of view, from physical. It's taking in aspects every aspect of the layer of the infrastructure. So this approach is more difficult to achieve and requires that all system and network administrators do their part. With this model, however, the internal network is much less likely to be compromised. If a system administrator on the network makes any mistake in putting unsecured modem or system, still the system can still can preserve itself and maintains itself. We will address this topic again at later chapters. Now, there are different terminology that exist related to the security that we want to talk about. of course, without understanding, without learning the different security terminologies, it will be less of interest for us. So we need definitely to understand the different fundamental terms relating to network security, and what's the meaning of threats, what's the meaning of vulnerabilities, and countermeasures, and other terms that we will address as we go on. Threats. Threat again is defined that is anything that disrupts the operation, anything that threatens the operation. From threaten the operation, threatens the functioning of the operation, the integrity, the availability. That's all what we call a threat. So threat could be, for example, natural causes like the disasters, like hurricane, like storms, and others, and some other could be intentional threats. Intentional threats that is from hackers or intruders, that could be from inside or outside, that they have malicious intent. Now, vulnerabilities means an inherent, it's a weakness in the design. It's weakness in the design makes it vulnerable, susceptible. It could be accessed. So that's why it is called vulnerability. So the vulnerabilities, it can be traced back to one of the three major sources. The vulnerabilities could be poor in the design. So the poor design could serve as a possibility for vulnerabilities, because the hardware and software system could contain design flaws, and this will make the system exploited and instance vulnerable to attacks. Now, it could be also poor implementation. Poor implementation means that the system administrator or the IT professionals are not doing their job. Now, here we have other possibility for vulnerabilities beside the poor implementation. It could be poor management, inadequate procedures. We don't have policies or procedures in place. All these could be a cause of vulnerabilities. Now, there could be other sides of vulnerabilities. For example, physical vulnerabilities. There is also hardware, software, media vulnerabilities. There's vulnerabilities due to transmission, media or interception, media, human vulnerabilities, and countermeasures, identification, and we talked about the other topics, which is authentication, as well as we have covered in the previous chapter or earlier, the concept of confidentiality and integrity, as well as availability. Now, keeping in mind those concepts, we'll come back to them as we go on, and please be reminded that to review them so we can always have a quick, fresh start every chapter we have. Thank you.